Hello, my name is Mark Taylor and welcome to the Education on Fire podcast. The place for creative and inspiring learning from around the world. Listen to teachers, parents and mentors share how they are supporting children to live their best authentic life and are proving to be a guiding light to us all. Hello, welcome back to the Education on Fire podcast. Thank you so much for joining us again today. And here in the UK, we're about to start our second national lockdown, and it's thrown up a whole load of questions in terms of what's going to be happening. But one of the things for certain at the moment, anyway, schools, universities, colleges are staying open. And this obviously has implications for all of us in education in terms of our safety. But I think the protocols have been in place and everything's set up for that exactly as it has been in the last few weeks. But also, what we do in order to maintain our mental health and our ability to be able to understand how all this is going on. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. We would need to make sure that we're giving ourselves the ability to understand that this is something which is out of our normal scope, of our normal understanding, and just to be okay with ourselves when it gets tough, when we find that we're kind of hitting our head against a brick wall about certain things that we have to do. Just really, give yourself a big hug, just that big understanding of what's needed to help you survive and thrive during this time. Now, we've covered some important things in the last few weeks in terms of hopefully some support online, things which can help you. We talked about pandemic pods. We talked about NLP as well in terms of things that you can do to help you and your well-being. Remember the key things. Give yourself some time, give yourself some love, some understanding about what it is that you're doing. Everyone's doing such an amazing job and under such pressure and such conflicting ideas about what's going to happen going forward. And I think understanding that we're just in the situation that we're in, it's moving all the time, and that's the lesson that this situation is giving us. It's allowing us to understand that while we are always told we need to plan, we need to do this, we need to do that, actually we just need to be where we are right now and allow ourselves to do the best that we possibly can. And that's certainly something that I've had to come to terms with in the last few weeks. There have been various things which have really thrown up, put in a spanner in the works. I had a complete hard drive failure on my laptop. Luckily, everything was backed up, but it literally went down straight after I finished one of my interviews, which is coming up in the next few weeks. Hopefully you won't be able to hear any of the difference, but tell me it's been quite a headache to make sure that we've managed to have everything that we need and pull all those things together. Luckily now, we should be back up and running and back to full strength. So fingers crossed that's gonna just ease as we get into these next few weeks. But it really was a question about what can I do now? What have I got in place? How can I make this work? How can we keep the podcast going out every week without there being a complete disaster and a complete stop? And I'm really pleased that we've got all these things together which enabled that to continue. The other thing is that there's a large part of my life which is actually changing drastically. As a professional musician, all of my gigs, all of my professional playing work stopped back in March. And as the year's gone on and on and on, and now leading up to Christmas, and I know that all my usual work over Christmas so far has been cancelled. These are really, really difficult, trying times in terms of the financial aspect, but also, this is what I do for a living, but it's what I do in order to sort of show up in the world as myself. And I talked about this a lot on various episodes, but to not have that and to also not to know how that's going to look going into 2021 is quite a difficult thing to be able to sort of think about, really, and to sort of put yourself into that position. But I think all these things are just gifts coming back and back and back, telling us just be here now, do what you can do now, make the choices that you have to do in order to survive, support yourself, support your children, support your pupils, support those around you. And that's all you can do. Just take a breath, slow down. We're in a global pandemic, and that's going to bring all sorts of issues up. And just do what you need now. Take a break, have the right conversation, do what you need to do to be your best self. And that's the best thing we can do for our pupils, whether we're teaching online, whether we're in the classroom, whether we're just having to support everybody's well-being. It starts with yours. And I think that's a really key thing to really, really keep in our minds. Now, going forward, our GoFundMe campaign that we started, if you go to educationonfire.com/book, gives you all the details of that. And of course, we've spoken about that over the last few weeks. But that's going great. We've got a few £100 going. We've got some people sharing it. We've had, I think, 9 or 10 donors now, which is absolutely fantastic. People from all around the world donating anything from £5 up to £100 so far. So I'm really, really grateful to everybody doing that. We're up and running, which is absolutely brilliant. Now, one of the things I'm looking at is to see about getting some commercial sponsorship or some commercial donations coming in. And with that sort of idea, what I can do is not only get the money that we can start to do to put this book together, which of course is going to be using all the resources, the wisdom from lots of the guests that we've used over the years, and put it into a child-friendly book to really give a good resource that children can use to thrive going forward. Not just take what they're told at school as what they have to do, but understand how the journey of so many people who are living life on their terms have been affected, and actually get all that wisdom into pupils and to give it to them so that they're really, really ready when their turn comes. And it might be that it's when they get the book, it might be in a few years' time, but they have access to it straight away. And the key to this as well is to expand it in a way that we can keep that dialogue going. We want it into a book because we want to put it into the hands of children early enough, and so that they've got it to see in front of them. But we also know that many pupils are online in very different formats, in whether it's on watching YouTube or social media, however it is they consume these things. And so one of the things I'm going to be doing is actually taking snippets of some of the conversations that I've had on the podcast, talk about them and share those resources and put it onto my YouTube channel. And I'm really excited about that, because I'm hoping that what we'll be able to do is to be able to sort of impact people in lots of different ways. And my bigger plan is to sort of have Education on Fire in a place where we can help people wherever they need it. It may be that they watch a snippet on YouTube. It may well be that they're listening to the podcast. It may well be they've got this book that we've created for pupils. All of it together starts to give an idea of what it is that people need to reflect in terms of who they are, the sorts of things which they've got around them, the resources, the advice, the people that can mentor them, teachers, just everything which is available, as long as you give yourself the best opportunity to do it. Put something in place to then take it step by step. It's all about understanding you as a person. It's then also about then allowing life to show you what it is that's available to you, following that passion, following those dreams, finding out why it is that you're here. What's the whole purpose really of you being on this planet, in order to show up in the world and to give to people, to serve people, to actually make the world a better place, and using the gifts and the skills and the understanding of all of that, which is so exciting, such a different feeling than having to go to school, having to go to lessons. All these things are tools to give us what we need, and we want to get that across to all the pupils that are going through the education system, so they really feel that they have the opportunity to thrive, to get excited about what they're doing and how they're going to move on. So that's what I wanted to come on today, to tell you a little bit about the slight disaster from the hard drive, but to give you that support to say, take a deep breath, really give yourself what you need in order to be able to be what you need to be at the moment, so that you can give yourself the understanding, the love, the big hug that you need in order to get through this pandemic, as it is now going into the winter and must be going then into 2021. But also to get that little bit of an excitement, of an idea of, let's pull together, let's get this book done, let's try and get all of these things online in whichever way we can, so that we can shape the future and give the resources and the help to the next generation, so that they can come out of this particular pandemic and how they learn everything really in a position to want to just grab hold of life with both hands and take it forward with a feeling like they've got control. And if we can do that, then I think the world's going to be a much better place. So thanks so much for listening. We're going to have some of the bonus episodes returning again on a Friday, which is some of the Learning on Fire podcast interviews that I did, which I'm going to repackage and put on these bonus episodes, just so that we can get through some of those as well, so we can hear much more of the great advice and the wisdom from those people that I've interviewed, as we start to really pull all of this together to start to get even more momentum as we finish 2020 and start to get into 2021 with this bright future, with this momentum, this passion, this understanding to really support everybody going forward. Thank you so much for being here, and can't wait to take this forward with you on this journey, because it's about our community, it's about Education on Fire, it's about lighting the fire for us and all those around us.
Thanks for listening to the Education on Fire podcast. For more information of each episode and to get in touch, go to educationonfire.com.
Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Thank you to the National Association for Primary Education for their long-term support of the Education on Fire podcast. To get a free e-copy of their professional journal, Primary First, please go to nape.org.uk/journal. That's nape.org.uk/journal.